What do you call it when a lawyer takes a test early in the morning? A breakfast bar. Today, I'm going to recap a 2003 action thriller film called Daredevil. A quick warning, there will be major spoilers ahead. This story begins throughout a series of flashbacks. We rise to see Matt Murdock, better known as Daredevil, injured on top of a cathedral. Lowering himself down, he drops to the floor. Father Everett comes to Murdock's aid, but he is unresponsive to the priest calling of his name. Taking another flashback to when Matt was a child, to a time when young Matt runs away from his bad schoolmates. Young Matt comes home to awaken his drunken father Jack. Matt helps his dad get ready for bed, but Jack notices his son's injury. Matt explains that his friends claim Jack worked for a bad guy Fallon. Jack denies and tells Matt to focus on his studies. Sometime later, Matt is on his way to visit his father at the docks, but finds out his father is a liar. Matt stumbles across his dad beating up someone for money and runs away. Not paying attention, he is almost hit by a forklift. The forklift hits a barrel of chemicals, and Matt can never be able to see the world again. Matt soon realizes that in place of his sight, he has gained heightened perception with his other senses, especially his hearing. Using an echolocation, he begins to see everything at once, which overwhelms him. Jack goes to see his son, but Matt informs he already knows he is blind. Jack apologizes, but Matt hugs him and they reconcile. Time goes by, and Matt adjusts to his blindness as Jack goes on the straight and narrow, taking boxing seriously again. Matt begins to train and experiment with his new abilities, and the next time his classmates approach, Matt is able to easily defeat them. At his big fight, Jack's old boss Fallon approaches him and demands that he lose on purpose. During the match, Fallon watches as Jack decides he won't accept the deal after hearing Matt's encouragement. He wins the fight. After the match, Fallon has Jack beaten and killed. Matt finds his father dead and is overcome with grief. Back in the present, Matt wakes up from his sensory deprivation chamber and gets ready for his job. Matt works as a lawyer and is currently in a case against Quesada with his coworker Foggy Nelson. Jose gives his testimony, but Matt uses his hearing ability to tell he is lying about his assault on Sutton. She breaks down in tears, and Matt warns Jose about his upcoming justice. Having lost the case, Matt is angry at the broken judicial system, with Foggy trying to calm him down. Matt pins Jose's trial on the Kingpin, who gave Jose a top-tier lawyer. Later that night, Matt suits up as Daredevil, armed with his modified walking stick. Racing and leaping across the city, Matt searches for Jose. Jose is at the bar where he attacks Sutton, enjoying his freedom and thanking the Kingpin for winning the trial. Matt is finally noticed above the crowd and attacks Jose. Jose's men fire on Matt, but he evades and takes them all down with his superior fighting skills. Matt locates Jose amidst the chaos, and Jose flees the bar. Following Jose down to the subway, Matt's senses are disturbed by the train. Recovering, Matt traps Jose, but again is afflicted by the train passing by. Jose takes the moment to put a gun to Matt, but Matt is still faster, knocking Jose down. Matt watches as the subway train comes and kills Jose and justice is served. Reporter Ben Urich comes to the crime scene, looking for clues about the Daredevil's identity. The police cover up any involvement of the Daredevil, but Ben reveals Matt's signature logo at the crime scene. Elsewhere, Matt comes home and listens to a voicemail for his now former girlfriend, who breaks up with him. Undressing, Matt's body is covered in scars, and after showering, takes some painkillers. As he goes into his sleep chamber, he hears the sound of a woman in crisis, but ignores her, going to sleep. The next day, Foggy and Matt discuss Jose's death, as well as Daredevil's involvement. Foggy wants to move on from their pro bono cases, but Matt protests picking up rich clients who are probably guilty. Foggy notices Matt's injuries, but Matt jokes that he is in a fight club. Matt suddenly senses a woman, Elektra, coming into the diner. Matt goes to introduce himself, asking for some honey. Elektra realizes he is blind and apologizes for being short with him, and goes to leave. Matt follows Elektra and grabs her hand, asking for her name. She tries to shake him off and they grapple for a bit. They continue until Elektra finally comes out victorious. She then gives Matt her name, but has to leave and is picked up by her bodyguard. Meanwhile, at Fisk Corp, the Kingpin Wilson Fisk attacks his bodyguards, killing one in a display of strength. Nikolas, Elektra's father, comes to meet Kingpin. He tells Fisk that he is out of his business dealings with Fisk Company. At the courthouse, Matt apologizes to Foggy for being late. He explains his meeting with Elektra. They meet their next client, Jackson, who is being tried with murder. Matt asks if the client is innocent, and he says yes. Matt senses he is telling the truth and agrees to take the case. Back at Fisk Corp, Kingpin orders Wesley to frame Nikolas into being the actual Kingpin and to bring in hired killer Bullseye. At a local bar, Bullseye gets the call and goes to leave, not before collecting a debt. Being insulted as he leaves, Bullseye turns around and brings the insulter down with nothing more than paper clips. Elsewhere, Foggy is upset at Matt, agreeing to take the recent case as Bullseye goes through airport security. Matt and Foggy investigate for clues, and Matt enters the deceased Lisa's home, Jackson's alleged victim. Matt investigates the room, discovering she was killed in her home, not outside. He tells Foggy to take down a message she had written, and they leave. During the trial, Matt defends Jackson, even using Matt's blindness to gain the jury's sympathy. The police officer on scene gives his testimony, Matt realizing he's telling the truth. Later that night, Elektra finds Matt, and he brings her to the rooftop he used to visit as a kid. He notices a necklace she is wearing from her mother who was killed. She tries to leave, but Matt claims it's going to rain, and he wants to use that to see Elektra. He compliments her beauty, and they kiss. Matt hears some of Kingpin's thugs in the distance and suddenly leaves Elektra. As Daredevil, Matt chases down the thug, warning him to stay away. The thug claims Kingpin to be in charge and is knocked out by Matt. The next day at the church, Father Everett talks with Matt, reminding him he doesn't have to go at it alone. Everett offers Matt a confessional, but he declines and leaving. Matt meets with his secretary Karen Page, who gives Matt an invitation to a ball. Matt tells Foggy he isn't going, but Foggy protests, claiming there will be rich available clients attending. Matt gets irritated with Foggy and suspects that Elektra is behind the invitation, and Matt says she is out of his league and wants to end things with her. Foggy calls out his lie and eventually convinces Matt to attend. At the ball, Ben introduces himself to Matt, who asks about his report on Kingpin. Ben accidentally knocks over Matt's walking stick and gives Matt his business card, wanting to talk later. Doggy drags Matt to meet Fisk, who has just entered the ball. They introduce themselves, and Fisk gives them a business card. Matt, however, declines, stating they only represent people who aren't guilty. Fisk claims no one is innocent and leaves. Matt goes to Elektra, who has also arrived, apologizing about leaving her. Wesley talks with Foggy about Fisk Corp, saying they would never hire Matt or Foggy. Matt and Elektra share a dance, and Elektra takes off Matt's glasses. Elektra admits she is nervous being around Matt, and he reassures her things will be okay. Kingpin approaches Nikolas, commenting on Elektra's happiness with Matt. Nikolas begins to leave, Elektra stopping him to find out what's wrong. Nikolas leaves the party, and Elektra goes with him, apologizing to Matt. Bullseye has arrived in the city and is searching for Nikolas. Matt, as Daredevil, watches over Nikolas's limo as it goes through the city. Elektra spots Daredevil on the rooftops above as Bullseye kills the limo drivers. Crashing, Bullseye approaches but is stopped by Daredevil. Matt evades Bullseye's attack, enraging the hitman. They battle, with Bullseye taking Matt's modified walking stick and using it to kill Nikolas. Elektra sees the stick and attacks Matt, unaware who actually killed her father. At home, Matt is livid, destroying his surroundings. The next day, Kingpin meets with Bullseye and praises his work with Nikolas in framing Daredevil. Bullseye wants revenge for Daredevil making him miss, and Kingpin orders Bullseye to kill Elektra. Later at Jackson's trial, Matt is missing from the courtroom, and Foggy struggles to handle proceedings. At Nikolas's funeral, Elektra meets with Matt and wants revenge. Matt tries to talk reason to her and asks her to stay with him. It begins to rain, but Elektra hides herself from him and leaves. Ben appears and tells him Jackson is innocent. Ben reveals that Lisa was his source for his article on Kingpin. Ben points him to a bribe for the officer who was first on the crime scene. Later that night, Matt captures the officer and presses him on who killed Lisa. Matt discovers the cop has a pacemaker, which makes Matt unable to read his heartbeat. The officer warns that Kingpin will go after everyone Matt knows if he is confronted. At their office, Foggy and Karen wait for Matt. Karen notices the clue Foggy has written and sheds new light on it, implicating Wesley in the murder. At the city morgue, Ben is shown Daredevil's modified walking stick and recognizes it as Matt's. Ben takes a call from Foggy about Lisa's case. In her home that night, Elektra trains herself for her revenge on Daredevil, while Matt suits up for his battle with Bullseye. In the city, Daredevil is on a rooftop and is attacked not by Bullseye, but Elektra instead. Matt doesn't want to fight, claiming his innocence. Elektra will have none of it, pressing the fight on. A fierce battle ensues, ending when Elektra stabs Matt with her weapon. Unmasking Daredevil and revealing Matt, she is shocked and immediately apologizes. Bullseye approaches and Matt tries to get her to run, but she goes to fight Bullseye against his wishes. She is injured but fights on valiantly, but is overpowered. Matt tries to get up to help but fails. Bullseye cruelly kills Elektra. The city police arrive and move to capture Bullseye while Elektra crawls to Matt and unfortunately dies in his arms. Catching up to the beginning of the films, Matt finally gives his confession to Father Everett. Bullseye interrupts and tells Father Everett to leave. The fated pair battle across the church, neither gain the upper hand. Soon Bullseye takes advantage of Matt's weakness to loud sounds as the police arrive at the church. Matt continues to evade Bullseye's relentless assault, but is brought down again by the ringing of the church bell. Bullseye informs Matt that Kingpin is the mastermind behind all the killings, even his father's. Matt manages to redirect the attack, wounding Bullseye's hands. Matt then throws him out the window, landing on Ben's car. At Fisk Corp, Kingpin readies himself for Daredevil's eventual arrival. Meanwhile, Ben informs the police he can pin all the crimes on Kingpin, pointing them to Wesley, who is arrested. Matt finally reaches Kingpin, and they begin their fated duel. Kingpin initially overpowers Matt, throwing him around the room. Kingpin unmasks Matt, who asks Kingpin why he killed his father and Elektra. Matt is unable to sense Kingpin properly, but once he breaks some water pipes around the room, he can see clearly. From that moment, he easily breaks down Kingpin, who ends up at Matt's mercy. Matt ultimately spares Kingpin and tells him that everyone knows of his crimes. Kingpin threatens Matt's secret identity, but Matt claims he won't for fear of his lost reputation. Matt walks away after having served his justice. Kingpin vows things aren't over. Matt drops a rose in memory of his father as things come to a close. Sometime later, Jackson is acquitted, and Matt and Foggy discuss Kingpin's arrest. Foggy asks how Matt is after Elektra's death, and Matt leaves to take a walk. He is approached by Ben, whom reveals he knows Matt is Daredevil, and he's going to break the story to the news. Later on, Matt finds Elektra's necklace, noticing it is now redone with Braille. Ben writes his news story, but ultimately decides to keep Matt's secret and looks on as Matt soars above the city he vows to protect. If you enjoyed this video, don't be shy to hit the like button, and if you disliked it, hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. You should watch the whole movie. Thank you very much for watching. Please subscribe for more video like this.